Welcome to the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Braylon Edwards, touchdown, Michigan.
Running pattern to Edwards, touchdown, Michigan.
Where we bring you the best in sports, entertainment, and insight. Join us every weekday from 2 to 4 p.m. as we break down the latest games, analyze the biggest plays, and dive into the hottest topics in sports. We'll have exclusive interviews with your favorite athletes and guests, and you'll get a front row seat to all the action. So tune in to the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Got one-on-one going end zone. Edwards in the air. Oh, what a catch by Braylon Edwards. His second touchdown of the game.
On the Woodward Sports Network, where sports comes to life.
Go. One of my favorite things to do is to look at rankings and begin a massive debate because it's so easy, especially in the National Football League. Welcome, everybody, to the Braylon Edwards Show. Braylon is out today, but we've got Anson in, we've got Ricky, we've got Kool-Aid, and we welcome you in our social media channels and the chat for certain. Anson, good to be back with you from last Friday. Let's dive right into it. NFL.com comes out with their top 100 players. So subjective, right? CBS Sports does it, ESPN does it too. So there's a few, if people are looking for the Lions, Sam Laporta was at 94.
This is current.
Kirby Joseph was at 71.
This is current players. This is not all time.
That's correct, yeah. Aiden Hutchinson was 55, which is mind-blowing that he's at 55. It's almost as bad as Micah Parsons being at 36.
Yeah.
Like, these people need to be drug tested to think that Micah Parsons is at 36. Where do people draw the line with this stuff? Do you think it's done strictly because let's have some fun and let's get people talking about it? I like Budda Baker. I think he's good. Do I think he's better than Micah Parsons? Hell no. I like Josh Jacobs. I think he's good. Do I think he's better than Aiden Hutchinson at his position? Hell no. Is Bo Nix better at his position than Kirby Joseph is at his? I would strongly say no. And yet they rank, for some reason, Bo Nix 64, Kirby Joseph 71. Where do the rankings, do you think, come from?
You know, I've heard that players are able to contribute to this, and then we've obviously seen specific ones from the AP or whatever. But you're right, man. It's completely subjective. You know, if you ask Maz where Micah Parsons should be, he'd be in the top 15. If you ask Stick, he's not in the top 50. So
top 15 is a little low for Maz. I might be top 5.
You're right about that, Kool-Aid. You're right
three.
about that.
Yeah.
Top 3 dead or alive.
Hold on. Stick doesn't think Micah Parsons is in the top 50?
Maybe I'm exaggerating. I don't think he'd have him in his top 40. But Maz would rather have Micah than Penei Sewell on this team.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's alone there. Braylon Edwards has said the same thing.
Where are you at on that? 'Cause
Okay.
I'd rather have Penei. To me, Penei is a top 10 player in the NFL.
I think you're splitting hairs, honestly. I think Micah Parsons is that impactful. We all like Jahmyr Gibbs, right?
Yes.
Everybody, okay.
100%.
Jahmyr Gibbs is ranked 27th. Micah Parsons is a better player at what he does, I believe, than Jahmyr Gibbs is. Now, that's debatable because, how many other – Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, maybe Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe the fourth best. I think Micah Parsons is an absolute offensive football home wrecker.
Yeah.
I think he's a phenomenal player. Whether or not you think he's top 20, I don't see how anybody could say he's outside the top 30.
You know how I can say that why I think they're saying that? I believe that Micah Parsons has been misused in that defense for 2 years, 3 years maybe. His rookie year, when they were letting him do a lot more stuff, kind of within his own skill set and the things that he's fantastic at, I've seen them kind of limit what he does, and whether it's dropping him into coverage or what I'm not sure what they're doing to him, but I see a top 20 player, absolutely. I just haven't seen the production from him, and I think it's because he's being misused. So I think that people have a little bit of a recency bias, and a lot of that is, if Bo Nix is even in that top 100 list, it's pure recency bias.
I don't know, man. I mean, he's been in the league 4 years. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, and he's got double-digit sacks every single year.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're misusing him.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Well,
I don't think that. I think that's hard for. I've always feel like that's hard for us in the media, and I'm using it as a generic term, not just Anson. us in the media to say they're misusing him, considering he is that productive. So I don't know their schemes. I mean, he's all-pro first team twice, all-pro second team once. How is he being misused? What more? And if that's the case, he's definitely a top 10 player, for crying out loud. If you think they haven't reached his potential by getting him in the right defensive schemes, he's absolutely a top 10 player.
Well, in his first 2 years, they moved him around all over the place. He had 64 tackles as a rookie, solo, 84 total. He had 43 last year. Obviously played some less games, but
he had 43 combos last year. Last year, solo tackles he had
30.
He had 30.
Yeah,
right.
so 84 total tackles his rookie year. Then that number drops down by 20 over the next 2 years in full seasons. Now, last year, seen 43 with only 13 games played.
But what's his job in a defense? What's his job?
So, as a rookie, they had him doing a lot. He was being moved around as if he was a slot receiver on defense. And what they've been doing the last 2 years, and the reason I'm saying this is because I've owned him in my Dynasty League, IDP League, for the last 4 years. And his production has gone down, and it's mainly because they stopped using him, moving him all over the place, and they've mostly dialed him in just as an edge rusher. And I think that Micah has so much more ability to affect the game on so many more levels.
Yeah.
And because he missed 4 games last year, had his lowest tackle count ever, is why he is being demoted to the bottom, top 40 instead of the top 20.
I can't get with that, and here's the reason why.
I don't agree with it either.
As you said, he missed 4 games. Remember this: his second year, he was all-pro first team. Okay, he had 13.5 sacks last year. He had 12. He had 13 tackles for losses last year. He had 12. And quarterback hits. He had 26 last year. He had 23. That's his job. Is he good at dropping back and covering people? Absolutely. I don't care how many tackles he has, because I think oftentimes, and let's face it, he's getting double-teamed more than he ever did before. All I care about from Micah Parsons is how well are you playing the flat when you're supposed to drop, and how well are you getting after the quarterback? What's your QBH? What's your TFLs? What's your sacks? And his numbers are in line for the most part. I mean, if he doesn't miss 4 games, he's got a hell of a lot more than the numbers I just gave you in all those statistics, and you're not even thinking anything other than the tackles, which I don't care about.
Yeah.
I care about him making his bad breath should be on every quarterback's face mask. That's all I really care about with Micah Parsons.
I do wonder how much of it is the success or lack thereof of the Dallas Cowboys over this time. I've seen a shift, at least with how our players.
Oh, you're saying the ranking. You're saying the ranking.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the ranking is reticent more or less to the
Yeah.
team's success, because we've seen this now in sports, at least with the Detroit tax. We've seen our players here be D-ranked or ranked very low, like Cade Cunningham, 67th in the NBA just last year. They're not making that.
Well, that wasn't
at
the end of the year. That was going into the year, and look at how many games he missed the prior year. So you could understand that, right? I mean, to separate yourself for just a moment.
No, he's too talented.
You
for
can't
that. I've been
separate
on that
Kool-Aid
for a
from
minute.
Cade,
Well,
just so you know.
Then it's a bad example.
He's a little too
not
close
like
to
the
that
things
one.
No, it's
that
a bad
I was stating aren't happening, but we've heard this with players who were. You look at his rookie season. This guy was rookie of the year, but they didn't give it to him. They gave it to Scotty Barnes, and they said, because his team was better. They said, look at the team success around him. Even though he was a rookie and we knew that Cade Cunningham's usage was that much higher, you could say the only rookie to do the stats, put up the stats he did was Michael Jordan. Now you're looking at Michael Parsons, who he looks like one of those guys, and you're talking about somebody who is a bona fide star to me, a stud. I believe he should be ranked higher.
So you're
but
saying,
I think he's being demoted.
But based off that argument, the reason Cade Cunningham was NBA third team a year ago is because of the Pistons' success.
In part, I believe that
Okay.
they decided to tip the cap for also. They said if they are even within a breath of the play-in, Cade will become an all-star. They said if he has the same exact stats, but their team sucks, he's not getting into that game.
And he should have been.
Who said that?
It was several people within the national media landscape, from Simmons
It was speculation.
Well, I mean, these are the guys that vote on that stuff.
But let's be honest, he was a second-team NBA player this last year. And if he wasn't a 14
I thought he was
game
13.
winner the
He
year
was
before,
Third team.
yeah, but he should have been a
Should have
second
been
team.
second.
And the reason why he
Curry.
wasn't is because they only won 14 games the year before. He missed a bunch of games, and in the NBA for sure, you have
missed
to do
20
it.
games the year before.
Well, but he
Okay, and he played 12 games his second year.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If there's anybody else outside of our love nest with the Pistons or any of our teams that had those numbers, you'd be saying, no way should they be ranked higher.
Well, no, Cade's numbers last year, he should have been a second teamer, period. And the only reason I think that he was not any higher than third was because it was the first time he had done it. And the NBA wants to see you do it on a consistent 2-3 year plus
With the
basis.
team's success. Like I
Absolutely.
really do. I believe he should be higher, Parsons, but I believe that what we've seen from the Cowboys is not going to.
So just so people are clear, let's clarify one thing.
Yeah.
The second team All-NBA was Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, LeBron, the king of everything, James, Steph Curry,
Yeah.
and Evan Mobley.
And Cade had a better year than two of those guys.
Those were the five guys.
But Cade was better than both Curry and Brunson. Curry gets the nod because he's Steph Curry.
I don't disagree with that. That's the guy. Brunson, we saw it at nauseum. The clutch plays down the stretch and where his team, he was the best player on a better team. So, again, I think we need to, it's not always about statistics. It's not always about the numbers. We've got to be able to separate ourselves, and we feel like he's ours. Oh, my gosh, he's disrespected. He's not disrespected at all.
But separating yourself from the statistics and looking at the Cowboys' performance is probably why he ended up at 36.
Yeah, at least that's the only answers that I've gotten. I've been able to accept whatever they're going to tell us about our players, but keep that same energy across the board. And right now, you got to ask yourself, what are his stats doing to impact the Cowboys actually having a winning season? These are things we've heard from several players. We can go back down lists of players in Detroit and say, well, our guy got snubbed, but what are they doing to win, actually? What is he doing to impact winning?
15
and
years
I
of
think
futility.
that's what matters here with Michael Parsons, even if
15 years of futility
Even if-
should not matter one damn bit.
Well, and it shouldn't.
One
But,
damn
but
bit.
as Detroit fans, we've seen good players over the last 15 years get snubbed because none of them were sniffing the playoffs. I'm not calling it fair. That's just how they do it with their recency bias when they're making rankings.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who got snubbed.
Not many.
Not
many.
Well, but we're talking like there's a lot. I mean, is it Matthew Stafford? Or you're talking about him getting snubbed? Calvin Johnson didn't get snubbed. Who is it that got snubbed from Detroit sports that should have been there because the team wasn't any good?
Well, I mean, whether we as Detroit fans were accurate in thinking that they should have been there, it goes hand in hand. Our lack of success was paired with our lack of superstars. But any time that we had a guy that we thought should have been there, like Zach McKinstry isn't making the All-Star game if the Tigers aren't leading the way
you're
in the
right
American
about that.
League.
But also if he plays well. I guess what flies in the face of that, though, is Budda Baker in Arizona stinks, and he's ranked higher.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb is on the same Cowboy team. He's ranked higher. So I don't expect you guys to know the answer to this. This is a very generic question. I'm just saying I think we're kind of grasping at straws here and trying to figure out whether or not why in the world is this guy ranked where he is? Who's making these rankings? And it really shouldn't bother me, for crying out loud. So I just
I mean,
to
it's
me, I don't
something
get it.
we can do is grasp at straws because it's something that doesn't make sense to me. Like, it just doesn't. We start to barrel in, and it's just like, we know exactly what Michael Parsons is. We know exactly who Kirby Joseph is.
You know exactly
We
who
know
Aiden
exactly
Hutchinson
who
is.
Aiden Hutchinson is.
Aiden Hutchinson's
Exactly.
the best player on one of the best teams in the National Football League, outside of maybe Penei Sewell, either one of them, okay? So how is he ranked 55th? And then if somebody says, well, look at how many games he missed last year. Well, that goes back to the Cade Cunningham question of a year ago, okay? So there's very little consistency.
Yeah.
And that's, again, there's no reason to get upset over it. I don't know why it gets my blood pressure a little bit. It's because I don't know how people can objectively, and that's the key word, objectively.
Always.
That one.
How do you do that? Can you do that? Most people cannot.
Yes.
Okay? And I'm not going to look at them and whistle. But most people cannot do that because they're too attached.
Yeah.
Separate yourself. So you think Micah Parsons shouldn't be holding out for Dallas? Maybe you're pissed off at that, and you're one of these voters. So what?
Yeah.
Base it off how good this guy is. That dude is an absolute animal on the defensive side of the ball, and every team would want him.
And I think that you should be upset about Hutch because him sitting at 55,
Yeah.
this guy dominated the league last year and literally led the league in sacks for the 3 games that he was out still. So how you can't put him in the top 25, I'm not sure. Now, let me put you on the spot, Shep. Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker. Are they Hall of Famers to you?
For sure.
They are.
For sure.
Now, why aren't they in?
I've said, because there's a lot of stupid people who vote.
And that's what it comes down to. I think ultimately the answer is the people that make these lists are mostly dumbasses.
There's a lot of really stupid people who vote.
And
nobody
people,
takes
period.
yes, but nobody
Yeah.
takes this and makes somebody accountable for it. Think of it. I've used this example ad nauseum, so I don't mean to keep going back to it. Somebody out there is looking at their ballot and they go, Ken Griffey Jr. Not today. Next. Somebody
And
said
sleeps
that.
good at night.
Somebody chose not to vote for Joe DiMaggio. Somebody said Willie Mays wasn't good enough today.
Crazy.
All right? It's absolutely insane. We're not talking about borderline. I'm not talking about Todd Helton, who I like. All right? I'm talking about all-time greats. It took until Mariano Rivera as a reliever to get 100 votes. A relief pitcher, not an everyday guy, not a multiple MVP, not Hank Aaron, not Ted Williams. It took a relief pitcher to get 100% of the vote. Who in their right mind is voting? These old curmudgeons who think they know the game, invented the game, smarter than you at all costs, and that's the thing that pisses me off. So Lou Whitaker, not many people saw him. Oh, we saw him get out of a limo when there was a strike. That really chafed me. Oh, okay. How about the guys who weren't very nice in interviews? Does that chafe? That shouldn't matter. I don't care if Charles Barkley pushes me into a wall like he did at the Palace. I don't care if Ricky Henderson tells me to go take a flying leap or Randy Moss screams obscenities at me like he did when it was at the Silverdome. It doesn't matter to me. I have to be able to look at them and say, are you worthy? And absolutely they are. And until you can do that, you shouldn't have a vote, period. There were people who didn't see Lou Whitaker play. Those people should be stripped of their damn vote.
I agree.
Because he was good enough and better than most second basemen in a lot of categories in Cooperstown. Alan Trammell the same way. If you want to talk about a lack of respect, go right ahead. That's the lack of respect. Now, I can sidestep and tell you the Tigers should do more. They should be supporting Whitaker. They should have supported Lolich. They should have supported Freehand. They should have supported Lance Parrish, for Christ's sakes. I can do that all day long if I want. I'm not going to do that today because most of that is so far in the past. But Whitaker belongs there.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and it's a grudge-based business. Unfortunately, these old curmudgeon writers that you talked about, they carry grudges. I mean, like, listen, Maz, he knows how good of a player Altuve is, but if he had a vote when it comes up, whether he's ranking him or whether he's up for the Hall of Fame, he's not going to get Maz's vote.
That's because he's emotional. He doesn't deserve a vote.
But all of these guys are. I know a lot of guys that have votes, some guys that have votes for Heisman and things like that. And I know these guys from conversations that they carry sports grudges against a guy that they've never even really met before. And it's
you don't have to meet them.
Yeah,
you really
you
don't.
have to watch them.
You don't have to meet them. You know what's really responsible? I had a Heisman vote for years. What's really responsible is, why don't you call a coach who played against them? Go talk to a player who plays against them and ask them a little bit. It doesn't take a lot to do that, all right? Why Tom Mazaway has a problem with Jose Altuve, I don't know. Oh, he thinks he's a cheater or something like that. But I'm glad he doesn't have a vote. Because anybody who says that he's not trending anyway toward a Hall of Famer doesn't know baseball, period. And I'd say that to his face. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And it's the same thing that people have used against Lou Whitaker and others. Know baseball. Separate your emotions, separate your heart and your head, and you'll do a better job of representing what the game is supposed to be and whether or not the vote is deserving.
All right, I'm going to ask you to separate your head and heart here. Barry Bonds, Hall of Famer?
Well, that's a different story. That's not Lou Whitaker. That's
No,
not
no,
Lance
it's not.
Parrish,
I'm going-
okay?
I'm going even
That
harder.
is based off, the allegations of cheating and doping and everything else.
You
So
gotta
if Mark
vote.
McGuire's not there, and Sammy Sosa's not there, and Roger Clemens isn't there, and Rafael Palmeiro isn't there, all have the same numbers, all have really good numbers. I mean, Barry Bonds' number isn't even retired in Pittsburgh. What does that tell you?
If you had the vote,
Okay.
what are you voting on?
If I'm
those
not
guys?
voting for any of the other guys, I'm not voting for him.
You get to vote on all 5
Okay.
of those guys you mentioned. What would you vote on?
I think
them?
it's a really tough situation. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't vote for them, but I would have to really think long and hard. I don't have that vote.
Yeah.
I've been one of those guys on that lone ledge who've said, for it to be only Baseball Writers of America getting the vote is ridiculous.
I agree.
You've got writers in there voting who will take road trips off, but you've got a broadcaster who, for years, you're trying to tell me that Vin Scully and Ernie Harwell and Harry Carey when he was sober, and guys like Steve Stone, who's an analyst, they don't deserve a vote, but some of these writers do? Are you
Watching
kidding
every
me?
game,
Dan
162
Dickerson
a year.
has
What's
called
a
every
writer?
Tigers game, just about, for the last 20-plus years.
Yeah.
Who's seen more baseball?
Nobody.
Who's seen better players?
Nobody.
And before people start to tell me, well, they worry about, the personal feelings. He's become close to the players, so he's more apt to vote for his team. You don't think writers do it just the opposite?
Aren't the writers the one that you do the memoirs and all that stuff for these players?
What do you mean the memoirs?
Like some of their
they'll write some books with them.
autobiographies.
Yeah. But that's a lot of times that's after the writer has retired and the players.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
I don't know
I mean,
anything
that's
about writers.
that's kind of the frustration I have with the Baseball Hall of Fame in general and some of these lists. I don't think you can honestly look at a football game that the Detroit Lions play and say that Aiden Hutchinson, or any team that plays, and say Aiden Hutchinson is the 55th best player in the National Football League. You want to rank him behind guys like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and that's fine. 55? You're trying to find me 54 players who are better than that dude.
I
He's
love
an
it, though.
Absolute beast.
I love it, to be honest, though, because Detroit as a whole, but especially the Lions, embrace the disrespect. They embrace the underdog in them, and they love revenge. I mean, I've never seen a team extract revenge the way that the Lions do. And I know that it doesn't seem like much, but I promise you, Hutchinson's looking at that 55 rank, and it's pissing him off.
If somebody brings it up, I don't think he's looking at it at all.
Oh, if somebody brought it up, I promise you that.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody did.
I'll show them I'm top
NFL guy.
5.
I don't. The revenge thing. It's funny you bring that up because Ricky and I were talking about that just before we started the show. The revenge thing I think is so minimal. I don't think players go through an entire training camp and saying, you know what, we're going to get back at Washington.
Do you remember that Cowboys game last
year? We're going
year?
to show everybody.
Remember that Cowboys game last year? That was insult and injury.
I remember it. Yeah, for sure.
Also was a trash Cowboys team.
Yeah, it was
True, but they could have pulled the starters. They kept going.
Yeah.
They're doing trick plays at the end of the game. They wanted more and
Facts.
more
Yeah,
and
they
more.
were it was a little and one mixtape.
Just wait. We'll see for sure if they're real about revenge when we play the
And
commies.
one of the things that I actually
you honestly
endeared
think
me-
they play Washington and they're going to have
That's
that?
their mentality 100%. They ended their 15-2 season, the greatest season in Lions history, at least regular season.
I don't think that's what spurs them all week long. Nope.
That week,
don't-
I think it
I
will
don't
be.
think every time they break the huddle, it's like high school and they say beat Washington.
Who
I don't think
who,
that's it.
who you siding with on this one, Kool-Aid?
Well, listen, I was going to say one of the things that actually endeared me to this team, it's not one of the main things, but it's one, is the fact that they have actually taken these things personal.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra was asked about even a Pro Bowl. He said, I'm pissed about it. I saw I think I should be there. And what does the chat usually say? Don't talk about that because the players don't care about it. Their head is just about winning. They actually have adopted this mentality of if it's out there, if it's food, if it's baked, even if it's bait, they still want to eat it. It's all theirs. And to me, I think that that's the right mentality and the mindset to have if you're a player. If it's something out there, if there's somebody out there making of some type of media perspective or can vote for you, I do believe you go out there and you try to prove everybody wrong. And they have shown that they will use that as some type of bulletin board material, though I don't think it's their motivation for
Well,
the
let's see
season.
how they do against Baltimore this year.
But you
Baltimore,
they're still seeking revenge.
So we'll bring. You can use
They gotta
Washington.
get that
You
right.
can use Washington as an example.
Yeah.
I'll use Baltimore as an example. Right? I mean, they lost in Baltimore. They got to play at Baltimore. Let's see if that continues.
I was just talking about NFC teams.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, they did talk about that as it relates to Seattle Seahawks. And when they finally got that done,
Smash.
they did talk about the fact that they were like, man,
And
they
just-
had our number for a while. It feels so good to finally get over that hump. And please do this with the Baltimore Ravens. It's been
Right.
too long.
But Dan
Goodness
Campbell
gracious.
just came out this last week, and they were asking him about if it bothered him and drove him at all, the fact that everybody is saying maybe it was the assistants that made you all so
Oh,
good.
he
And he
did,
actually went out and said, oh, yeah. He's like,
Well,
yeah, I'll be
that's-
honest.
that's different.
something that's spurring me on to be even better this year.
Well, I think that's a little different.
But is
that's taking accomplishments away from somebody
That's
who has
the-
done
that's-
something and finished second
Yeah.
in Coach of the Year last year. That is placing proof in the pudding with somebody other than an individual.
And you're right, but that's our leader. That's their leader. And if he's willing to do that, he's willing to allow all of his team to do that. If he's willing to take that kind of stuff from the media talking about his assistants, I promise you he's willing to put the score of the Commies game up on the board all damn week. Be like, we get to go see these guys.
Yeah. Well, look, he might do that. We'll see. I don't think this is Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan.
No.
I don't think it's anything like that.
But it could be.
I don't
No.
think that's what spurs professionals on.
I
okay?
don't know, man.
don't
I'm
think
going to
they
have to
use
disagree
it.
with you
I don't think they
in the
use
case
it all
of
week
the
long.
Lions.
Okay.
Just in the case of this new BNL team, I think they hold grudges, man.
Sure didn't help the Bills last year, did it?
Against the Bills?
No, I'm talking about the Bills playing the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm not
where
giving them
is
that
that
much
help?
credit. They should be pissed.
well.
They are owned by Mahomes and the Chiefs, and they can't get over that hump. They can in the regular season, but certainly not in the playoffs, man. That's a team in one game a year where they absolutely should be operating on grudge.
Yeah, no question. But I think especially in sports, if you let the emotion get the best of you, you play out of control.
No doubt.
So
Yeah.
I think you have to
Typically,
reel it into
I would
a
agree
certain
with
extent.
that.
I know
I
that's
100%
boring. I
agree
get
with
it. I
that.
get it's boring. I understand that. But this is different if it's an individual. If somebody torched me for 42. Not that Mike McCaskill at Southfield ever did that in high school. But if somebody torched me for 42 and the next time I'm matched up with them, I can see that. But I have a hard time thinking that the week of the Washington game, and I might be dead wrong here, that every Monday, Tuesday they get off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then when they check into the hotel on Saturday, they're all about, this is what, I don't think it's any different than any other week for them.
No, but Shep, you have to understand how you felt when, what was his name? Mike McCaskill, you said, torched you for 42?
He said he never did.
Mike McCaskill.
Allegedly, yeah. But imagine
Allegedly.
this is their Mike
Allegedly.
McCaskill getting
I
torched
didn't.
for
Just
42.
so you know, I didn't guard him. He was a 3. I
Oh,
was a
gotcha.
1.
Let him know. Let him know.
He was a phenomenal.
Get him, Shep.
Really good high school player. Really good high school player.
I didn't
He
think
played
you
in
were
Eastern
saying-
Michigan. They called him Springs. He was really good.
I didn't think you were gonna say it again.
that's
But
right.
this is where it stems from. Like I said earlier, I think it's gonna be personal like that. But there's enough starters on this team that were on that team last year. They're gonna look at the people who weren't on that team and say, "Hey, you weren't here last year." Literally, that's a quote from a Lions player. You weren't here last year. This is what this is. I think it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be a personal vendetta, whether
we'll
we
see.
like it or not.
We'll see, and that'll be interesting to hear during that week. And look, in fairness to Anson, he said just the Lions. I can bring up example after example. Cincinnati Bengals, who couldn't get it done against Baltimore, against Pittsburgh, or whatever. Damn it, we've got all this bulletin board material. We're going to make the playoffs.
Not enough.
Strike 3. Sit down. Have a good offseason. You know what I'm saying? So,
and
it's a really fun discussion to have.
Yeah, it is. And we have a pretty big super chat from Mr. Super Chat himself, Dante151. 1999 says,
Appreciate
Shep,
you.
You are 100% correct. It's so stupid that certain people aren't in the Hall of Fame. As Maxwell Jacob Freeman once said, all of you are a bunch of marks. where when someone new appears, you go head over heels for them. So shout out to Dante151 and
Thank
just
you, Dante.
another super chat here from Michael Wary. $2 super chat says the Hall of Fame seems like a secret club of good old boys.
I don't disagree with that. Look, this guy's in the Hall of Fame, but Ichiro Suzuki, somebody said no. I
Crazy.
I don't get it. I mean, if I gave you a resume of a guy, and I said he's won 3 World Series, he's an MVP of one of them. Okay, he's a 6-time All-Star. All right, he's a championship series MVP, and he's got over 3,000 strikeouts. All right, he's also in the postseason 8-2 in his career. Would you say that's Hall of Fame worthy?
Sure hope so.
Yeah. That's Curt Schilling.
That's what I thought you were
And
saying.
he's not in it. And by the way, I'm sorry, I was wrong. He's 11-2. He's 11-2 in his postseason career with a 2.23 ERA.
How is Schill not in there? That makes no sense.
You know why? Of course you do.
Is he tainted with drugs, or they say?
No, he's tainted with certain views that people don't agree with.
Ah, I did not know that.
Oh yeah,
I did not know that.
Massage.
Yeah, exactly. That dude, like that's I think he's the ultimate. I think he's the ultimate example of how people just can't let certain things go and feel like I can't draw myself to do it.
Holier than thou. They're perfect. Only perfect people do that, Shep.
You're right.
They're perfect.
I want you to think about that for a minute. Like even his regular season, I think he's won 2 fewer games than Max Scherzer, maybe 3. And Scherzer's got 3 Cy Youngs, so it's probably not a great comparison. But his ERA in his career, and he spent 18 years on the bump, 20 years on the bump, 20 years, is 3.4. That's still pretty damn good. But his postseason numbers are off the hook at 11-2 with a 2.2 ERA. And he's got over 3,000 strikeouts. Those are usually tickets to Cooperstown. And there are people who vote who said, not today. Not on my watch.
And yet Ty Cobb's in there.
Yeah, you should be in there. You got more votes than anybody in the first class.
I know, but
why shouldn't he be?
People didn't like him. Cap Anson, another example of a guy that's in there. That
why shouldn't Ty Cobb be in there?
Oh, he should be, but I'm just saying, as a human being, if he were to be voted now on, people might say no, Ty Cobb's not getting in because of the human being that he was.
Well, are you talking about the Tommy Lee Jones movie that was strictly Hollywood and had nothing to do with it?
No, I'm talking about the rumors that people have talked
those
about.
Are but that's the key word.
I wasn't alive then, so I'm not speaking to it. I'm just saying.
Neither
players,
was I.
But him and Cap Anson are both guys that in arrears people say were bad human beings. Great ball players.
Yeah, a lot of that has been proven false about Ty Cobb.
Well, good.
Okay.
My thing. I'm not trying to just go about Ty Cobb. I'm talking about all the people in the past that have all this problems that they were doing in a different era.
What? You mean people that made mistakes?
Exactly.
What?
Thank you.
No.
Humans.
It's hard to believe.
Human
crazy.
beings.
It's really hard to believe. You know what's not hard to believe is getting a fighter like Ven Johnson. That's really easy to believe. He'll take your phone call. He's taken Anson's plenty.
Hey, if you're Lou Whitaker or Alan Trammell and you need to get into the hall, you need justice.
Yes.
Yes. And it does mean different things to different people. It means different things to ball players. But whether it's a settlement or a verdict, justice is always worth the fight. And if you've got a case, you got to contact the fighters at Ven Johnson Law today. Get that justice you deserve. They're tough. They're tenacious. They're trial lawyers. Ven Johnson Law. Check them out at venfights.com.
And if you're looking to upgrade your relaxation game, check out the Massage Chair House in Bloomfield Hills. It's the largest massage chair showroom in the Midwest with top brands of massage chairs like Infinity and Osaki, man. They're located near the corner of Woodward and Long Lake Road, right down the street from us. Experience luxury comfort with Dr. Eric Duncan. He is the wellness doc and creator of the top YouTube massage chair review channel, man. Book a visit right now, massagechairhouse.com. or scan the QR code. Massage Chair House, your ticket to the ultimate recovery and relaxation.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Hunting season is almost here, Detroit, and your Lions are on the prowl. Make sure you're locked into Woodward Sports for all the Dan Campbell reactions, Jared Goff touchdowns, Amon-Ra first downs, Penny pancakes, Kirby picks, Gibbs big plays, and of course, Jack Fox's leg. Stay locked in on all your Lions coverage right here on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com.
Hey, Sundays in Detroit just got a lot smoother with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea and Woodward Sports Network. I'm not going to lie. Anson and I have been asking for the product for a long time. We'd like it right here between the microphones, and we'd like to pop one open and sip it a few times. It's real vodka, real iced tea, no bubbles, just a clean, crisp sip that won't fill you up on game day. That's, by the way, those sound effects courtesy of Ricky. Only 100 calories and 4.5% alcohol. It's perfect for tailgates. It's perfect for couch gates. Like, if you're coming here to Woodward Sports to watch the post-game show every once in a while, it's a perfect thing to sip on. Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, wherever you're watching Lions football or watching Woodward Sports. This season, let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser and Woodward Sports, but please, please drink responsibly.
Hey, if you live in Detroit, you know you got to grind to shine. But if you're a car in Metro Detroit, you just got to get to Jack's. And Woodward Sports and Jack's Car Wash have partnered to hook you up with a free car wash. Just text WSN to 888-522-1729. You see the number on the screen there, and enjoy top-tier service with free vacuums, compressed air, and matte cleaning rooms at select locations. Join the Unlimited Club and take advantage of all the perks of being a member. Wash at any of their 40-plus locations just twice a month, and the membership pays for itself. You can go unlimited times, though. Upgrades for interior cleaning and detailing are also available at 8 different locations across the great state of Michigan. So head on over to jackscarwash.com to see a location near you. Don't wait. Text now. Shine on.
And we back.
Let's get a few likes, shall we? Let's make sure we get that up there.
Smash that like button.
Smash it.
In the
Especially
chat.
for number 91.
Somebody had just reminded us. Anson knows that Alan Trammell's a Hall of Famer. He knows that. Okay. So I know he said, do you think Alan Trammell? He was just
It's
asking
the Tram and Luke
that's
conversation.
Yeah.
If one's in, I believe both should be in.
You think what?
I think both of them should be in, or neither. There's such similar players in what they did.
Yeah.
They're both Hall of Famers to me, but it's always been the Tram and Lou conversation.
Yeah, I mean, in a storybook scene, they would go in together, right?
It
but
would be pretty storybook.
But so this has been my stance for a long time, and it's controversial, and that's okay. I don't care. Until 2 years ago, his number wasn't even retired. If a team can't retire somebody's number, how is the baseball world expected to have similar or better, more glorious views of that individual?
If you're not respected at home, you're not respected nationally, typically.
Okay. So to me, this is maybe very minor. I've said this ad nauseum. They should have a statue out there of Trammell and Whitaker. I don't know if it's them turning the double play.
Absolutely.
I don't know if them sitting next to each other on a
150%.
And it should have been done a long time ago. Mm-hmm. All right? And I'm not one of those guys who believes everybody gets a statue, right? Like the Lakers are putting one up for Pat Riley. Won 3 rings there. And justifiably so. Their greatest coach, right? Why don't the Wings have one for Scotty Bowman? I'm just wondering, okay? He's arguably the greatest coach, not just in hockey history, but maybe in professional sports history. Before Bill Belichick, Scotty Bowman was the greatest coach in sports history on what he was able to do, okay? Why don't they have one? If you think that's a little too much and, geez, you're going to run out of room, there's plenty of places around Comerica Park you could have a statue of Trammell and Whitaker, of Jack Morris. Justin Verlander is going to get one, I would guess. Absolutely, Miguel Cabrera. These are all warranted, okay? But if the Tigers aren't willing to say, you know what, number one's our guy, we're going to give it to Jose Flippin' Iglesias, it means so much to us, then how's the rest of baseball expected to treat one of your all-time greats?
You can't. You're not respected at home. You're not respected nationally. And a lot of Detroit teams have either missed guys or put too many up there. I mean, we were talking earlier today. I mean, I love me some Microwave, love Rip Hamilton, but are those guys, should they be retired? Or is it just the fact that we don't have enough numbers up there?
100%. I agree with you 100%.
And
it's not taking anything away from.
I'm
the
sorry,
player.
Pistons Nation. You know I love my guys.
You don't have to apologize. I mean, look, it's a very subjective. I get it. The team's decided it. The team feels like it's worthy. Then I respect it.
Yeah.
Sergei Fedorov is finally going to have number 91 retired. Kudos to the Wings for that. But it's taken a long time.
Way too long.
Way too long.
The Russians had to do it in order for us to get the memo, it seems like. Because after they put it up at SKA Arena, the next thing you know, the next day after everybody's crying about it, sure enough, the Red Wings make an announcement. And it's way overdue.
Yeah, way overdue. There has been a big debate now online on what you do with Zetterberg, what you do with Datsuk. I've always felt the Red Wings probably handled it better than any other team in the market. I think it took somebody to be really special for you to have your number retired. But this dude was special. I mean, this guy was the greatest player on skates for an extended period of time. I get why there's a little bit of animosity there, the Czech, Carolina, all that other stuff. And so that probably hurt his chances of having number 91 retired. But again, if I'm asking fans and I'm asking talk show hosts and I'm asking members of our media brethren to put the emotions aside, you can do the same thing with teams in general, can't you? I would hope.
I would think so. I mean, 100%. I had a question for you that just ran out of my head. With Fedorov, the way that he left, people are still bitter about it. But
sure.
To me, when I look at somebody like him, I doesn't matter how he left. It matters what he did here. And this is one of the greatest players in Detroit sports history. My question for you is, if you had to choose one between Zetterberg or Datsuk, who would it be?
Probably Zetterberg.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's splitting hairs. So you mentioned how he left. Do you have a problem with how Justin Verlander left? I know he was traded, but
I have a problem with what we got back for him.
Well,
that's about it.
Everybody does, yeah. But seriously, and by the way, all those guys were all top 15 prospects in Houston's farm system.
Sure.
So I got a problem with it too. I think we got a bigger problem with it because of what happened afterwards, right?
Sure, the Marlins have a problem with Cameron Maben as well.
Well, maybe not even as much with Cameron Maben, but absolutely with Jacob Turner. Because Cameron Maben actually had a nice long career. And love him, worked with him for a long time, did a really good job in the booth, I thought, and got unceremoniously dismissed. But do we have a problem with Justin Verlander? Everybody wants Justin Verlander to come back. And everybody's worried that he's going to go into the Hall of Fame in a Houston Astro instead of an Old English D, because he is a Hall of Famer. You hope he goes in as a Tiger. I don't know if he will or not. He had just as much success in Houston as he did in Detroit. But that's what I hear all the time about Fedorov. Because it seemed like he wanted to leave, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it fair to say Matthew Stafford wanted to leave? No question.
No doubt.
Okay? Most people, most of us, would have agreed with that. Most Lions fans would say, I mean, you're wearing paper bags at Ford Field. You're embarrassed to have conversations with friends from out of town who are fans of other football teams, and we got to bring up the Lions. But we're pissed because the guy says, you know what? I've had enough. You're bringing in a new brass. You're bringing in a new coaching staff. I'm not going through this anymore because he doesn't trust them. But we've got a problem with that. Would his number be retired at Ford Field? Would you retire number 9? He's probably going to be a Hall of Fame player.
He is a Hall of Fame player.
Okay. So if he's a Hall of Fame player and the Hall of Fame brings him into Canton, I don't think he's the first ballot. Do you think Ford Field retires number 9?
Well, that's a hell of a question, Shep. I don't want him up, personally. because of his comments after that game. And that's a sports writer grudge, perfect example of it.
Yeah.
When he was asked if he was happy for the Detroit fans, twice he went out of his way to make sure that he did not say that he was. Didn't say that he wasn't. But, Stick and I always battled over whether he was a Hall of Fame guy when he was still here in Detroit. Now, he's got, Stat Padford statistics, playing from behind, having to throw the ball as much as he did.
That's because his running game sucked.
Yeah, and his team was terrible for the majority of the time that he was here. But the fact is, of current players, before he was traded to the Rams, he had some of the craziest stats of any quarterback ever.
They weren't. You said Pat Stafford or whatever you said.
Well, it's people trying to minimize his accomplishments.
That's bullcrap.
To me, I told Stick that he was a Hall of Famer. Stick, it drove him crazy.
Okay.
Now the fact that he has a ring, and again, it doesn't matter when you get those stats in the fourth quarter of a loss or in the first half of a win. Fact is that his stats are top 10 quarterback stats of all time. Now it's a passing league and it's a little different. But at the same point, this guy was a Hall of Famer or on his path to be one when he was traded from here. You get that chip and do what he's done as a Ram, and he's certainly a Hall of Famer. I'd rather see him retire a Ram. I don't need him to retire a Tiger or a Lion. Now, Verlander, on the other hand, that exit was different, and then his return to Detroit's have been different.
So, but before you dive into that, just real quick. So you have a problem with what he said after a loss, 10 minutes after it was a bitter loss, but that washes away all the good that he did here in the community and all the things he said about Detroit. One comment 10 minutes after the hardest, one of the hardest losses.
Absolutely.
That is incredibly simple-minded.
But it's not simple-minded. It's Detroit-minded. And what it does.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is. And it brings your conversation full circle in the fact that some of these people that have votes shouldn't have them. They shouldn't let me vote on whether his number is in the rafters. Because I am a bitter fan, sports writer, sports commentator, or whatever. At a simple moment where he attacked my city and my Detroiters, it pissed me off to the point where I don't want him in the rafters. So, yes, you could say it's simple-minded. I'll say it's Detroit-minded. But at the end of the day, it's a perfect answer to the topic you started, which is the fact that these sports writers make decisions based on their hearts instead of their heads off.
Have you ever criticized your city?
Oh, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
So it's okay for you to do it.
Well, no, I mean, I'm talking about all those meters they put all along the streets. I used to park for free after COVID.
Oh, man.
That's my criticism of this great city of Detroit, baby.
That's capitalism.
I'm a patriotic Detroiter.
I love it as Detroit-Kool-Aid. It's the reason why this thing started is because there's always going to be somebody hating on Detroit. I don't have to be the one to do it.
Hold on. There's somebody always
especially somebody that
there's always somebody hating on a lot of cities.
I'm always
not like ours, though, Shep. Come on.
Oh, come on.
What city's been hated on more in the last 30 years?
Just out of curiosity, where have you guys been outside Detroit?
I mean, I've lived in Russia. I've lived in Hungary. I've lived in Mexico. I've been in 30 countries.
You don't think those cities get ripped on?
Nobody gets ripped on like this. Maybe Cleveland. Maybe Cleveland.
DMV in Detroit, bro. For whatever reason, it was a lightning rod. It was the easy town to be able to kick while they
murder
thought
capital
it was
of the
down,
world.
bro. I heard, dang, you from Detroit?
Yeah.
Even on the road, if they would
you
announce,
also never introduced
Brandon
yourself from
Detroit,
anywhere else.
Michigan, they're all like, whoa, goodness gracious. We're sorry for you. It's just like, what?
Yeah, but you've also never introduced yourself from somewhere else. You don't know if other people. I imagine somebody else from DC gets that same thing, or somebody from Brooklyn.
Hold on.
Or somebody
you don't think people from New York get it?
Like my boys from Florida. Florida people definitely get it.
Absolutely.
But New York's the greatest city in the world, everybody says. Detroit is the armpit of the Midwest.
Not everybody
I wouldn't say that.
I don't. I certainly don't.
Exactly.
I think we love to play that up.
Yes, 100%.
Well, we've embraced it for sure, but we've had to. We've had to because up until the last 10, it is, and up until the last 10 years, as we've watched our great city come back up, it was a very real thing. And I've traveled a lot, and everywhere I go, they do. They look at you. Oh my God, are you safe? Are you? It's now when I go to Mexico, people are like, do you feel safe down there? I'm like, bro, you and I left after hours on 5 Mile at 5:30 in the morning. What are you talking about, man? But no, I believe that there is a stigma against Detroit. I believe that it's starting to be broken. And the stigma against Detroit teams, and a proper one because of the 15 years of futility here, is starting to be broken as well, thanks to our Lions first and now our Pistons as well as our Tigers.
Yeah, I think all of that is fair. The whole Stafford thing, for you to be 10th all-time in passing yards, 10th all-time in touchdowns, and you're going to climb. This year he'll climb. I don't know if it's his last year or not. And I don't think he's a first ballot guy, but I think he has numbers that are associated with other Hall of Fame passers.
If he doesn't win a ring, is he still a Hall of Famer? Because I believe so.
I don't. That's a really good question. Here's the pushback I get from friends. He's got a losing record. So does Joe Namath. Just so you know, okay? Just so you know, Joe Namath, 50% completion rate, more picks than touchdowns, under 500 as a career.
I wonder how many more of those there are.
I think there might be one.
At QB?
Yeah, at QB. Yeah, not many. There's not many. So
Fran Tarkenton?
No, Fran Tarkenton had a lot of wins.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah, a lot of wins. But no Super Bowls. Okay, and so before people go, well, he only won one Super Bowl. Joe Namath, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, they all won one Super Bowl. And if you're going to use Super Bowls, then I guess Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Fame. Okay, because he's got 2 Super Bowls. All right, and he was the MVP of both.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting how we make these debates, and they're fun. They're really fun debates because you can always counterpunch with certain things like that. Yeah. I think.
Well, before we go there, I need to know, where do you want Matt Stafford's jersey retired? In L.A. or in Detroit?
Well, I wouldn't.
You only get one. You only get one.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not sure I would retire it either. Quite honestly,
my man.
I don't.
Oh, okay. My man, Shep. You just surprised me with that one.
I think it's going to take some digestion for you to figure that out. We started this with Sergei Fedorov because that should have been done a long time ago. How well do the Lions do things? That's a big question right now.
Yeah, they're starting to do them a lot better, that's for sure.
Absolutely, because I think Sheila's done a wonderful job. I think Spielman doesn't get enough credit. Brad Holmes is phenomenal. You know how I feel about it. In Brad Holmes we trust. However, that doesn't mean you do everything right, and you sure haven't. Think about it for a moment. Number 20 has been worn by 3 different players, and all 3 players were great. Lem Barney was great. He's in the Hall of Fame. Barry Sanders is in the Hall of Fame. I know Monica McNutt of ESPN doesn't realize that because of what she said yesterday. What an absolute joke.
I missed
that
it.
is.
What is that?
Somebody was on her show, and she says, okay, let's get real. You've got Sanders. This guy's got a Barry Sanders jersey on backwards. It says Sanders.
A Lions jersey.
A Lions jersey.
Yeah,
okay.
Honolulu.
It's not Oklahoma State. It's not a Pro Bowl.
Gotcha.
And she's like, so you got Shedeur Sanders jersey on. Let's get real. I'm like, hold it. Shedeur Sanders is number 12, not number 20.
And
his team is brown and orange, not Honolulu blue and silver. I mean, holy crap. That's what you're dealing with. But I digress. The reason we started is because this guy's should have been in a long time ago. But the Lions, you're hoping that things are turning around. I'm not saying you just retire jerseys for the sake of retirement. Yeah. Calvin Johnson's jersey should have been retired. Yeah. Barry Sanders, Lem Barney. Barry Sanders should have been wearing number 21 like he wore at Oklahoma State. Billy Sims, as much as I love him, and he was great until he got injured, Billy Sims wore 20 at Oklahoma, should not have had the chance to wear number 20. They're not the only franchise to do that. Other franchises do it constantly. Hell, the Tigers let Ian Kinsler wear number 3. Okay? They let Gary Sheffield wear number 3. They let Jose they let Jose Iglesias wear number 1. That doesn't make any sense to me.
The retired number 2 for the Pistons is a bit ridiculous, though. Shout out, I love
Chuck
Daddy
Daly?
Rich. I love him, but he didn't wear an actual number, so I don't think that one was too hard to give out.
He didn't, but for it being there for so long with the family kind of in tow, it was like, hey. I do believe, and when you combine that with the other jerseys that have gone up that you don't believe should, that was at least what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's not a
it,
jersey. That's just a number to associate a person
2 rings,
with.
baby. You know, I wore a suit every day. I was a head coach for 4 years of a basketball team, high school basketball team. and all these dudes twice my age wearing their sweatsuit warm-ups. What are you dressing like that for? Well, watch while I beat your ass.
I'm with
Daddy Rich style.
I always said if I ever was a coach, I'm bringing back the suit. So
Oh, hell yeah, man. I cannot
Would you like
stand
that in the NBA today?
Yes, please, Shep. I
That
hate
was my
it.
high school coach. It was now and later Gators. It was trench coats. It was suits. He came.
Trench
dressed-
coats?
do it.
Oh yeah,
why not?
trench coats, furs. He would show up with minks and such.
it's
Shout out to
Michigan.
Coach
That's a
Moran.
look at me moment.
He's a pastor
No, but it's
today.
it's Michigan.
Pat Riley and Chuck Daly
I
moment.
wouldn't wear it on the sideline.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got
But I would wear it with my suit. It's Michigan.
This is an interesting conversation because, first of all, my wife has always said it's embarrassing that managers wear uniforms because they're more often.
I never understood that.
Yeah,
either.
they're more oftentimes than not. They're overweight. They're out of shape. They're older. It's not a complimentary look. Okay, that aside, personally, I like what AJ Hinch does. He wears a pullover. He wears a sweatshirt in the fall when they're going to be playing in the ALCS and all those other things. But he still wears the pants and he wears the shoes. I guess they're not cleats. But basketball and the NFL, especially because of Mike McDaniel, who looks like a cartoon on the sideline.
Yeah.
For as much as these guys make,
Yeah.
for them to wear what they wear, I think is a little. Kool-Aid and Ricky always use the word disrespectful. I think it disrespects the game a little bit.
Yeah, Belichick started the trend, the hoodie, they call them. But I grew up on basketball. That was my first major love. And Pat Riley and Chuck Daly established a protocol. And it wasn't a trend, it was a protocol. And now it's gone completely backwards. I could talk about this all day.
Well, they didn't establish it. They established high-end suits.
Yes.
Doug Moe wore sports coats.
Sure.
He just it looked like a picnic table.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that was, but they had
love
always
the Doug
worn
Moe
suits.
pull.
I mean, Lenny Wilkins wore suits.
Mm-hmm.
These guys all wore suits. Those guys took it to another level.
Yes.
Where they wanted to look like they were high-end, and they were.
And then
It was
the
like
other
outdressing.
coaches kind of followed suit, and you had everybody in the NBA dressing well.
I like it.
And now, I mean, where are you at on that, Kool-Aid? Do you have an issue with the way that head coaches dress in the NBA right now?
I don't know, man. I was one who came up where my coaches, they dressed nice. They weren't necessarily in track suits or in like the gym wear or whatnot. They dressed nice, and it looked like almost like some, I don't know, is it like 80s or 70s, like gangster type? It just looked good. And for us, when they spoke, when they told us stuff, at least as kids, it was definitely like, yo, you don't want that now later gator up your,
That's right.
It is
You
what it is.
impose-
Yeah, but this is different. This is the NBA. This is in high school. Going full. Look, and by the way, I would take it one step further. I don't think it's just the coaches. I think it's an embarrassment when any player, whether it be Cade Cunningham or Jalen Durant, what they wear on the sidelines when they're not playing. I think
Facts.
that's just as bad, if not worse, than what the coaches
Yeah,
wear.
because they look like they're sitting courtside instead of on the team.
Yeah. I mean, they dress nicer to go to the club. I'm sorry, Kool-Aid, so I cut you off. Keep going.
No, I was gonna say, as it relates to the NBA, I believe it works. You see a guy like Jebby Bickerstaff, he's dressed more in the sports gear. He'll have maybe like the Pistons polo on.
Yeah, but
and
a lot
maybe
of
some
coaches do
sweatpants
that.
and such.
He's
Yeah.
not in the suit, though.
No, not the suit. And I think that resonates with especially some of these younger players today because of what AAU basketball is. The way JB Bickerstaff dresses is a little bit more in line with what AAU coaches were versus you go back maybe 2 decades ago where you find some coaches that were still dressing maybe in suits or dressing a little bit nicer. And especially if you go back before that, it seemed like suits was just the thing.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, so what's your stance on it? You like the look? This really happened in COVID, by the way. It didn't. And they just kept going with it. But do you like the look or you don't like the look? You're kind of dancing around it. It's okay if you insult JB Bickerstaff. He's going to still answer your question.
I kind of like the suit look.
Okay.
I like the suit look.
You asked him the wrong coach. If you asked him somebody else's coach, he could be more honest.
I like the suit look.
I was wondering what you was doing over there.
He's worried. He's worried. He's worried.
Map?
Yeah, he's worried this is going to hit social media, and JB Bickerstaff's going to go, I'm not answering your question.
We got videos.
You think I should be wearing a suit, damn it?
You want me to come in and speak for you?
I feel like, look, now I'm going to be the one
beats
sitting in a press conference telling the coach, hey, you got to wear a suit.
No, I'm not saying we got to tell him.
Such
I
a
think it's a bad
Patricia.
look.
Yes.
I don't think it makes the organization or the league look very good. But I would say the same thing. I'm not being hypocritical here. I would say the same thing about players who aren't playing that night. Listen,
Yeah.
I've said the same thing about the media. Okay, so I am very consistent on this. I went to a Michigan press conference a year ago, a football press conference. I'm looking around. I see all these kids. They look like they just got off, some type of motorcycle ride. Mm-hmm. There's very little pride when it comes to that. Very little.
And that used to be a big thing. I remember in high school, before we made varsity, we had to wear suits. But then certain games, you could wear your jersey. Even that had to be worn a certain way. But nothing beats a well-tailored suit, man. That's been since the same of all time. Nothing beats it.
And they have people. They have people who go in and sell them.
Yeah.
I mean, they sell them custom-made suits.
Sure.
It's not like they don't have them at home. They do.
But when you enter a boardroom, you meet somebody on the street, any situation, a man dressed in a suit carries more presence than a dude in a tracksuit.
I 100% know one day in my life I will wear suits every single day. I just haven't got to that point.
There you go.
One day I'll feel it'll get there.
Yeah. Don't disagree. One person said in the chat, too many man purses. I would second that as well.
100%.
But to each his own, right? I wouldn't care as long as they looked a little bit more representable. As long as they looked a little bit more representable. Okay?
No.
Yeah. I just, to me,
man purses are bad.
Shep, how do you feel?
No merch for you,
No,
Ricky?
at all. No, man.
merch.
I should have to unzip to find my wallet, bro. It's ridiculous.
How do you have to unzip? Some people.
Just like my wife be searching for it. Where's my chapstick? Could you imagine, Shep? I'm just talking to you like,
I would have to interrupt you and say, what the hell are you doing,
What are you
Ricky?
doing,
What are you
man?
doing, man?
No, I'm taking a
slide
strong
this back in
stance
here.
on that. Strong stance on the merch, man. Can't stand it.
I think most of the chat is with us on that.
Yeah.
And look, I am not asking every NFL coach to look like Tom Landry.
It wouldn't hurt, though.
But when Matt Patricia was here, I know. When Matt Patricia was here, everybody thought he looked like a
bum.
heavy slob.
Like a truck driver.
And I don't know if it was the beard. I don't know if it was the hat.
Or the four-wheeler.
But, well, whatever. I mean, whatever you want to choose to drive. You don't have to drive an X6 as far as I'm concerned to get but Dan Campbell wears a hat. Nobody says anything about it. Dan Campbell wears a sweatshirt. Nobody says anything about it. It's because Dan Campbell's in shape.
Because he
He's a
does
big
up-downs.
I was about to
He
say,
does
yeah.
up-downs.
It's different
And
when you're fat.
instead, Matt Patricia's up-down with this.
I'm about
That's the
to
closest thing he
say,
gets.
I'm about to say, Shep, what hat does Dan Campbell wear? What do you mean? What hat?
Grit. Sometimes he wears grit.
does
Sometimes he
wear
wears
grit.
Lions hat. You know that.
Well played.
What do you
well played.
mean?
The only person who wears more hats than Dan Campbell is Kool-Aid. Les Stanford, Buick and GMC. They've got great offers for everybody, like the 2025 Hummer EV SUT lease special, $599 a month plus tax, or get it for $699 a month. Don't forget about the 2025 Sierra double cab elevation lease special for only $169 a month. They've got great looking rides in their inventory, every color you could want, every interior you could want. They've got a massive inventory and they're waiting for you. Les Stanford, Buick and GMC for all lease specials. Go to their website, lesstanford.com.
Let's talk secret sauce. You don't want to miss out on it. And every single Tuesday with Big D Energy and Thursdays with the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep, we get sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine, because again, he's got that secret sauce. D-Mac trusts him. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game, performing at your best. For more info, visit MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call 248-426-9944, or just hit that QR code above my head.
Ever wonder what goes on inside the game?
Deep ball's got a man and got him. Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Join Braylon Edwards and Shep
Edwards has it. 10-5, touchdown.
on the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep,
Barr looks in zone. Got Edwards for the touchdown.
where they dive deep into the heart of sports. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m., they're bringing you expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and a fresh perspective on the sports you love. Don't miss it, only on the Woodward Sports Network. Hunting Ranking season is almost here, Detroit, and your Lions are on the prowl. Make sure you're locked into Woodward Sports for all the Dan Campbell reactions, Jared Goff touchdowns, Amon-Ra first downs, Penny pancakes, Kirby picks, Gibbs big plays, and of course, Jack Fox's leg. Stay locked in on all your Lions coverage right here on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon. Braylon Edwards and Shep Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Why do we fight? We fight to protect the innocent, to hold the powerful accountable, to bring the oppressors to justice. Why do we fight? We fight to secure and preserve our civil liberties, to get each and every one of our clients the justice they deserve, and to make the lives of real people just like you whole again. ThenFights.com.
So, you're a Detroit sports fan, huh? Well then, make sure you subscribe to all the Woodward sports pages on YouTube. We have Woodward Baseball, Woodward Pistons, and of course, Woodward Hockey. Get breakdowns, updates, and bonus coverage of all things Detroit. So pick your favorite sport and follow along with the best Detroit sports coverage ever made. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Man, last week of preseason coming up, and you're about to get your bets in. I know. What if I told you that if you made a bet between $20 and $1,000 and you missed the first bet, you got your money back? You probably think I was crazy, but I'm not. Scan the QR code or use the code Woodward1000, and if your first bet between $20 and $1,000 does not hit, you'll get the deposit right back into your account, man. I'm serious. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app today. It's the official sportsbook of Woodward Sports. Or use the code Woodward1000 and scan that QR code on the screen and download the app now.
Are you missing that sizzle in your life? You need to head down to Black Rock Bar and Grill, home of the steak on the stone. And when you get there, make sure you mention Woodward Sports. You're going to score an exclusive 20%
Look at that
off
lobster.
your food bill.
Oh, man.
Shep's ready. Don't miss their daily deals like Tasty Tuesday, Thursday steak and scampi combo, and Sunday sips. Don't want to miss out on that one. Also, check out the new summer flavors menu with the pineapple brulee cheesecake. That sounds amazing. You crack right at the table or crack into some crab legs. Don't forget to enter the giveaway as well. It's not just a meal. It's an experience when you head over to Black Rock Grill.
Why do I come in here hungry all the time?
It's the timing.
I know. I read about, we hear about Black Rock, we hear about Buddy's Pizza. It's like, okay, come on, man. Mm-hmm. To show you how much influence I have in this place already. No food.
Right.
No food. Absolutely no food. Thank you.
You ask for Buddies every week.
Every week. A lot of people in the chat ripping on Matt Patricia, and rightfully so. Some saying he's the only coach we've seen ride around in a cart all day. Wayne Fonts did it a little bit. Darryl Rogers, I believe, did it a little bit. But yeah, it's a bad look.
Yeah, but Cocaine Wayne had personality, man.
Cocaine Wayne.
It's just a flat out bad look for a coach to be unless they've got a broken foot or something.
Right.
Sure.
I was about to say.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, some people are saying, well, you expect NFL coaches to wear suits? No, not necessarily. I think I've moved on from that just a little bit.
Well, why not?
I'm not. Do you remember Mike Nolan? Mike Nolan was a coach for the San Francisco 49ers. Do you remember he wore the vest all the time?
Yeah.
It's not like it makes them good head coaches. There was a standard. in the NFL coaching community, I don't think anybody wears a suit anymore. I can't think of one coach who does.
Of one either.
Okay?
Exactly.
I suppose a lot of it is comfort, and a lot of it, look, you're on the sidelines, you're standing all day. I would wear comfortable shoes, but for some reason, tennis shoes with suits seems to be fine. Yeah. Maybe it's just too much with all the, remember, Tom Landry never wore a headset. I know that was the big deal with Brady Hoke. Oh, my God, I can't believe he doesn't wear a headset. There's a lot of coaches who haven't worn headsets. Doesn't mean that they're the best coach in the world. I'm just saying, Don Shula didn't wear a headset. Tom Landry didn't wear a headset. Joe Gibbs started his career, didn't wear a headset. But the point is, maybe because there's so much communication and there's so much advanced technology that maybe it gets in the way. I don't know. I just would like him to look a little bit more representable. I don't think there's any excuse in the NBA. The NFL, maybe I can get away with it a little bit now.
Ricky, you know how dialed in the suit would be on Shep if he was stuck. I've been watching him broadcast.
No, I noticed that, but I also know he's been in this game for a while, so he's probably got a nice little closet built up. So I respect that.
I'm very fortunate. Yeah, I would say this. A few years ago, I was in New York City. Tigers were playing the Yankees. We had an off day. A lot of people like, I'm going to the U.S. Open tennis. Chose to pass. So I walked down the street from the hotel, about 3 blocks on the left is this clothing store. So I go in there, and I said to myself prior to, do not buy something. Do not buy something.
Then don't go in.
I know. Exactly right. You're 100% right. I actually went shopping for tennis shoes, and I
came out with 2 suits.
I got derailed, and that's exactly what I did.
You bought 2 suits?
I bought 2 suits.
My man.
The guy got me fitted, and the next day I picked one up, and I wore it on TV that night. Yep.
What decade did you start really dressing the part?
My dad was always a really good dresser, so I think for me,
that makes sense.
I think it was pretty. Look, if you're on TV, I think you got to look good, personally.
Did you ever go to La Stanza back in the day down here in Birmingham?
No, I haven't.
That was like the first men's couture spot in Metro Detroit back in the 70s. So
is so obviously gone now.
It
but
is.
That was a thing, huh?
It was former mayor of Birmingham, Bob DeLore, and a guy named Dale Wells opened that spot.
Wow. Sounds like you either worked there or somebody shopped there.
I grew up in there. My dad was one of the owners. But it was the first men's couture in Metro Detroit, aside from a spot down in Detroit, because you guys have been dressing for a very
Who's you guys?
Good, you guys, the brothers.
Oh, got you.
You guys have brought style to Detroit first, in my
black
opinion.
People. You had to point me out.
I never, So, and let me ask you, Ricky, has African American just been completely retired?
I don't speak for all black people. You can just call me black. I'm cool with it.
That's a term I'll use.
Look, man, just say what you want to say, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Detroit,
if you're not trying to offend somebody, they'll be
the Detroit Blacks brought style to men first in this state. I felt.
There you go. See.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know this. Ricky's as real as it gets. Okay, it's one of the many things I love about him. So he's right. He's 100%
Sticks and stones will break my bones, Shep.
But carry on. Well said. And that's an oldie but a goodie. Let's get to another topic, and that it is football related. The Bengals are pursuing or accepting, not pursuing, but accepting, people's phone calls for trade with Trey Hendrickson. I think they've been receiving the phone calls for a while. They've just made it public now. And Trey Hendrickson's a hell of a player. I love him. I do. He's going to make roughly $16 million this year. In order for him to even get on the practice field and the training camp roster, he wants to make sure he gets his due. I don't blame him for that either. I don't like how he's going about it. I sure don't respect how Cincinnati's going about it, but he wants an extension, a TJ Watt-like extension. Some believe that it's got to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $31 million. So it's not TJ Watt, all right? It's not Myles Garrett, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood, which he's worth it for what he's done, 17.5 sacks each of the last 2 years. The speculation is it would cost you a young defensive player and a first-round pick for next year. A, would you do it? B, who would be the young defensive player? I don't give a crap about the draft pick. To me, it means nothing when you're picking low and you're going to have more draft picks later. I think Brad Holmes has proven he's done a really good job with late draft picks. I think first-rounders are starters, but for that type of talent, I get it. It's the biggest problem I have is first of all, it's almost a moot point because you're not picking up a guy for $31 million and paying Aiden Hutchinson. You're just not doing that. It's not going to be $70 million at the defensive end position. But I wonder what people would think of which young defensive player you'd be willing to part with.
Give him Ennis Rakestraw.
Oh,
Yeah, I think Cincinnati's dumb, but they're not that dumb.
Well, you were right with both of those comments. I can't name a player because there's no player that I'd give up along with a first-round pick, along with having to pay him $30 million to bring him here. I don't believe that that's in this current regime's DNA either. We haven't seen them bring in guys and extend them. The only guy that we didn't draft ourselves that we extended on a large contract is a Mr. Jared Goff. This team, and it seems like all these teams in Detroit right now, are dedicated to their own system, to their own talent evaluators, and their own draft picks. And plus, you look back, and I don't see many of these outside of the Matt Stafford trade, these big-time deals where you're sending multiple first-round picks or other players with a first-round pick. They just don't lead to championships. In fact, they lead to quick downfalls. And what we've seen Hampford and Spielman and Dan and Brad create is something that is sustainable and long-term. And unfortunately, Detroit Lions fans are starving so badly for a championship that I've heard many people, not only just at this station, but throughout the city, that say that they would trade the playoffs for the rest of time for one championship. And I'm not down with that. And I know that ownership's not, because they got to sell tickets. And what they said when they got together in Allen Park 5 years ago or whatever it was, they said, let's be great for 10, 15, 20 years, a perennial playoff team. And to do that, you can't mortgage your future in order to bring that in. I saw Brian Branch's name in that trade. Are you kidding me?
No way.
No thanks.
Now, can I play devil's advocate?
Please.
How many teams are paying high-end salaries to two safeties?
None. I can't think of one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same point,
So
how many?
Therein lies an issue. And here's the other issue. With the Trey Hendrickson trade, by the way, and this is a really cool graphic right here. Like Kool-Aid and Ricky have Hendrickson mocked up as a Lion. Which
He
would
looks
be awesome.
good.
Look at his numbers. Like somebody in the chat said he's already old. He's 30, man. That's not old. TJ Watt's 30. Do you think he's old? And he just got the 3-year extension.
We only have,
Be
I believe,
careful.
8 or 9 players on the 90-man roster that are above 30 years old.
Okay,
and not
Goff
to
is
say
one
that,
of them,
and not
Decker,
to say that, but if you look at the guys that are over 30, like I told everybody, Anzalone's not getting an extension. They thought I was crazy.
Yeah, I said
this is probably Khalif's last year. The other
Might
guys,
be David Montgomery's.
Yeah, the other guys are on the offensive line, but to me, this team they've shown us what they're going to do. And they might trade up in the draft to get a guy they like,
Yeah.
but they're not giving up big-time assets to go and pluck some unhappy player, disgruntled player, even as a star from another team.
Well,
They
the
just
two
haven't
guys on
done
the
it.
offensive line you mentioned, Decker and Glasgow. DJ Reader's another one.
Yep.
Okay.
And
so,
he's gone after this year too.
Yeah. So I think they've positioned themselves pretty well. The thing I wonder about, Brian Branch is probably my, he's a top 3, one of my favorite players on this team.
my favorite on the team too.
He was right there. Frank Ragnow was my favorite. Aiden Hutchinson's right there. Brian Branch is right there. I don't want him going anywhere. But I do wonder about that a little bit. If you're going to throw all your chips in on Kirby Joseph, are you willing to pay 2 safeties high-end money because Branch deserves it, okay? Are you willing to do that with defensive ends? Why would you do it with defensive ends? I don't think there's a team in football that has 2 bookends that make you go, oh, look out, okay? So let me give you an example. Will Anderson, who I think is awesome, and Daniil Hunter might be the closest thing to it that I can think of.
Let me double down on that question. Last 25 years, in the 21st century, name a team that had 2 dominant, high-paid defensive ends at 1-1.
Yeah. So you've seen defensive ends and you've seen like defensive tackles. Like, for example, Jerome Brown was a really good defensive tackle for Philadelphia, and Reggie White at the same time. Chase Young was on a 1-year deal in San Francisco with Bosa at the other end. I don't think they were both high-end, highly paid. That's the difference. And I think that's the same way it is today. The cap, the NFL cap, is $279 million. it's going to go up. Detroit does have cap space. According to Sport Track, Detroit has the second most cap space in the National Football League. But you can be successful. Denver's a really good example of it. The Denver Broncos, some would consider to be one of the best, if not the best defense going into 2025-26. They don't have that stud defensive pass rusher. They got 6 different guys who had 5 sacks a year ago. Pittsburgh, you got TJ Watt, who I just brought up, who's 30 years old. Is it Alex Highsmith? Is it Nick Horbeg? Which one is it? Neither one of them are household names outside of Pittsburgh. Minnesota, Jonathan Greenard, who's got 12 sacks a year ago, and Andrew Van Ginkel, who had 11 sacks a year ago. But neither one are considered top 10 at their positions. So I think you can do it. You just need that guy who's opposite Aiden Hutchinson to be really healthy all year long.
Or you have to have the deep rotation like we saw in Philly last year, you know?
Right. Which, by the way, Philly's better known for their linebackers. Of
course.
Bond, Dean, guys like that.
Yeah. Let me switch
Smith,
that trade
Nolan
up. So
Smith.
let's say Hendrickson says, I don't need an extension. I'll go and play out my 1 year, but I want out. He okays 4 or 5 teams. Detroit Lions are one of them. And we have to give up a first and a second.
In a second.
But we're not re-signing him. Are you pulling the trigger on that?
Yep, I am. 15.8? Absolutely.
Yeah, I am too. And really, some of it has to do with Jared Goff in that window. You're talking about a Super Bowl window. You got to punch that ticket. And if you have opportunity to go and put one of the best edge pairings, pass rush pairings in maybe NFL history, who knows?
Yeah.
I think you have to go out there and you got to do that. This gives the Detroit Lions, at least for the next couple of years, an opportunity from the defensive line standpoint to go out there and wreak havoc.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're talking about some of these other teams that they're believing may catch or have passed up. The Lions, it's teams that have those quarterbacks that they believe can give us some issues or problems. I believe if you have Hendrickson on the other end of Hutch,
You're not worried about Lamar.
You're not. Bro, you're creating some good problems for yourself.
You're finally getting your Baltimore revenge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you hope you
That
sure
smile, I love it.
You sure hope so. And somebody had a really good example, so I'm glad they did that. But a few people have said Kirby already got his extension. We know that. We were talking about Brian Branch as an extension. So would you pay 2 IN safeties? One is Kirby Joseph,
you
who got
assume
the
Branch
extension,
is gonna get the
and
bag.
the other would be Branch, who deserves it.
Lions.
But somebody wrote in, look, when San Diego had Khalil Mack and Bosa, it didn't work. That's a really good one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of those, and especially the teams that go out and trade all those assets, 2, 3 first-rounders, to get that other bookend. There's no championships. There's literally only one crazy trade that we've seen multiple firsts go that's led to a championship, and that was the Matt Stafford trade. I mean, we can look up and down. I think there was the guy, was it the guy from Frank, I want to say from, I'm blanking, but the Kansas City Chiefs made a deal for a defensive lineman, but they didn't give up that much. I think they gave up a second and a third to bring him in, and of course that turned into championships. It's just not in the DNA of the way that Brad is running this team. He's not interested in giving up his draft picks, which we've seen he's very good at, to go get somebody else's problem. He'd rather draft his guys and re-sign his guys. And I'll tell you guys, so far, it's been pretty damn successful.
I don't doubt that. First of all, I don't think it would take a first and a second to get Hendrickson. Okay, that's first and foremost. That's a lot to give up for a guy on an expiring deal who wants out, and I'm not sure how much leverage the Bengals have. It would not cost you that.
I don't think it cost Branch in first either.
Well, I didn't say Branch. I just said a young defensive player.
Okay.
You brought up
So
Branch.
not a starter?
No, they've got to be a starter.
Okay.
But that could be Branch. That could be Campbell.
Terrion?
That could be Joseph. That could be Terrion Arnold.
Yeah, I've seen those
That
three
could be-
names, Campbell, Terrion, and
There
Branch.
could be a lot of different names
I don't-
associated with that.
I'm not sure I'd give up any one of those. Yeah, I don't think I'd give up any one of those 3 guys, as young as they are, and the promise that they've shown, as well as a first-round pick, for 1 year of Trey or 4 years, 3 years of a $30 million Trey. I don't think I'm doing it.
Well, here's what, and Brad Holmes knows this better than we do, but what you have to understand is that you're probably not keeping all 3 of those guys anyway. Down the road, you're not keeping. I don't know what his priorities are. he's going to hold that close to the vest.
I think he wants to keep him.
Well, he wants to keep everybody,
Sure,
but he's not going to be able to. So that's the reality of it. That's why I brought up, are you paying 2 high-end safeties? One's already got the extension, Kirby Joseph, as we mentioned, and Brian Branch. I'd like to keep the entire band together. But, we wanted the Beatles to stay together, and they didn't either. So that's just the way it goes.
Who would you rather have long-term, J-Mo or Branch?
Branch.
That's my guy.
I started the show by talking about head and heart and all that other stuff. My heart's with Branch, but I think my head is. I'm pretty confident in my eyes and my beliefs, and I think Brian Branch is I think he's one of the best safeties, if not the best safety, in the National Football League, outside of Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton's probably the only. I know Buda Baker's good. I would say Kyle Hamilton's the only safety I'd rather have than Brian Branch. I think he's that good.
And that could change in a year or two. Branch is still improving.
Sure. I've said this too, and this is probably a little hyperbolic. I think he can be on track to be a guy like Ronnie Lott. I think that's how good he is. And by the way, I respect the hell out of Jameson Williams. Didn't like the pick. Didn't like him after year 1. Didn't like him after year 2. He showed me something last year, and he's been outstanding this year. He does bring things to the offense that nobody else can, but I do think there's something that is not being talked about in this market, and for good reason, because you don't want to jump that proverbial ship. But I do wonder if Isaac Teslaa was drafted knowing that Jameson Williams may not be the long-term guy.
Wow.
And I don't think it's okay to ponder that. I'm not saying that's what I'd be asking Brad Holmes, but it's okay to ponder that because you spent a third-round pick on him, and you've got a lot of other talented players you're going to have to re-up. Yeah. And I just wonder what those priorities are. Wide receivers, if you believe Amon-Ra St. Brown's a 1, and we all do, okay, and you believe Sam Laporta's a 1, and we all do, how many weapons do you really need? I need my safety. I need my quarterback of the defense back there, and I think Brian Branch is as good as it gets. He's a tough SOB, he's a smart SOB, and he's a gamer. Yeah. And I love him. Yeah. So that's the reason I'm going with Brian Branch.
You got to be careful because the chat loves themselves from some JMO, but
that's
to
okay.
me, speed at the wide receiver position, you can draft that. What Teslaa could turn into, what he's starting to look like, that gives you an opportunity to give that money to Branch instead of JMO. Yeah. Shout out JMO, got his degree from Wayne State this summer. No issues in the paper. Really seems dialed in, running routes, and he definitely seems like a favorite of Dan Campbell's. Let's see if we can't keep both of them in town.
Yeah. Look, as Ricky mentioned earlier, people make mistakes. There before the grace of God go I. Jameson Williams made some mistakes. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you give up on the kid. You hope he matures and grows. And you know what? He's done that.
He has.
So credit to him. Somebody in the chat said, would you give up Aleem McNeil in a first? They're not taking Aleem McNeil. He's hurt. They want somebody who's going to impact them. Their general manager can't go in front of the media and their fan base and go, hi, ladies and gentlemen, we just traded our best defensive player, and we've got an injured player coming back and a first-round pick that's going to be late in the first round. But we're pretty happy about it.
Am I crazy for thinking a fully healthy Aleem McNeil is more important to this defense in January than another edge is?
I don't think you're crazy about that. Yeah. I would concur. I think he's when healthy, I think he's a difference maker.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited for him and Williams to be, as much as people want the bookend tight defensive ends,
I'll take the
I'm
inside.
Excited about the guys inside. Now, these guys rotate more than the defensive ends, right?
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about that. That's a good point.
I'm excited as well, and not just because of the type of player we know him to be, but that interior. Do you really want to just depend on the rotation, the depth, the new guy in Tyreek Williams, or do you want your $20 million man and Aleem McNeil there? And think about that. That just makes it that much better. Having Aleem, having Hutch on that defensive line, I 100% agree with that.
And isn't he about 5 years younger,
Get that
too?
interior right. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, for me, I just – Lions don't love 30-year-olds, man. They love their own guys, and what Aleem would mean to this team in the playoffs, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm not sure that Trey eclipses that.
Somebody had written in the chat about Jamison Williams and the speed, and there's nobody faster. I mean, Tyreek Hill would probably disagree. Xavier Worthy would probably disagree. DK Metcalf would probably disagree.
Matthew Golden might even.
Matthew Golden might do it. That's a really good one too. So Jalen Waddle would at least have a case. So there are guys, and I'm not downplaying his speed and that it's not a difference, because I do believe it is. I think it's a huge difference. I think he brings something to this team, just like Brian Thomas brings something to the wide receiver spot with Jacksonville.
Man,
okay, but I'm more impressed with how he's grown as a pass catcher, a route runner. I've always respected his blocking downfield. There's a lot of things I now like about Jamison Williams, but Anson asked the question between the wide receiver and the safety, and I had to give my opinion in favor of Brian Branch. All right, here's my opinion on Buddy's Pizza. Good. Really good. Go again. Hungry. I want more. Please, can I have one to go? Yeah. Their new barbecue brisket pizza. They've got a barbecue chicken salad. They've got the Buddy Brew Summer Shandy. They've got a Super Summer Sundae. It's all right now at your neighborhood Buddy's, or go to buddyspizza.com. And don't forget, it's not just pizza. They've got really good burgers, believe it or not. Oh, I'm serious. The Smash Stacks are burgers done Detroit style. So here's what you got. You have the square slice. You've got the smash stack. You've got the sundae. You've got the salad for those of you who are a little bit healthier. And it's all full of Detroit delicious flavor. Only at Buddy's Pizza. Go to buddyspizza.com.
Attention 14 to 19-year-olds, you got about 2 weeks left to go work out for free with the high school summer pass at Planet Fitness. Listen, this allows teens to prioritize their mental and physical health while school activities like sports and gym class are in recess. Get them in there. This will give them a great head start before the school year starts. Since launching this program, Planet Fitness has invested more than $300 million in Wave membership dues to promote your health and wellness. An absolutely awesome community program they've put together. Remember, they've got thousands of locations nationwide, and they've got all kinds of locations in Metro Detroit. So if you want to get your mind and body right, get on over to Planet Fitness.
Why do we fight? We fight to protect the innocent, to hold the powerful accountable, to bring the oppressors to justice. Why do we fight? We fight to secure and preserve our civil liberties, to get each and every one of our clients the justice they deserve, and to make the lives of real people just like you whole again. ThenFights.com.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Hunting season is almost here, Detroit, and your Lions are on the prowl. Make sure you're locked into Woodward Sports for all the Dan Campbell reactions, Jared Goff touchdowns, Amon-Ra first downs, Penny pancakes, Kirby picks, Gibbs big plays, and of course, Jack Fox's leg. Stay locked in on all your Lions coverage right here on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Guys, let's be honest. We like simple things, right? That's the reason we're Detroiters. We like guys who get after it on the football field, and we like to make sure that it's uncomplicated as well, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, sign in, and before you know it, You're handsome and you're clean. Lady Jane's open 10 till 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It is wicked awesome.
And if you guys are trying to get fresh after that cut, then make sure you get over to woodwardsports.com so you can get the latest in Detroit sports merch. Because I know you guys are tired of wearing the same old, same old. Hey, it's a new era in sports wearables, new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Check out Woodward Sports latest gear at woodwardsports.com. Click shop. We got hoodies, tees, and the hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. All right, get the latest designs today at woodwardsports.com. Make sure to click shop. And we back. And
okay,
you know what?
This is why you got to be careful sometimes when you start throwing numbers around. Somebody in the chat said, just give Zadarius Smith $8 million and let's go get the ring.
Yeah, right. It's that simple, Shep. Why not? What's the problem?
I'm glad you're not the GM. Zadarius Smith has never in his career made $8 million. He made $1.36 million last year.
Right.
Why would you give him $8 million this year to come off the streets and play, as Braylon said, about less than 15 snaps a game? I would think it's a little bit more than that, maybe 20, but not much more. Why would you pay a guy $8 million to play 20 snaps a game when a guy you got last year cost you 1.36, you and Cleveland? Why would you do that?
Because Detroit fans are obsessed with defensive end. We've seen the interview questions with Brad, and you could tell he's a bit exasperated by it himself. He's like, I got you one in the 6th round.
Look, for me, man, I am one of those ones that believes Zadarius Smith should have not been released from this team. Zadarius Smith should still be on this team, and even though he's not going to play a whole heaping of reps, he's still somebody that's going to be impactful in those reps. And right now we have to ask ourselves, the comparison is this: regardless of what Marcus Davenport can do if he plays, will he? Because with Zadarius Smith, the ability that he did display beyond just being able to get into the backfield was being able to actually play. And I think that does matter. And when you're talking about a guy who wants to be here, a guy who's familiar, at least having this 3/4 of a season with the Detroit Lions and absolutely fall in love with the city and the city back with him, I do believe that Zadarius Smith is a guy that can help this team. At $8 million, maybe you see what you can do at maybe $5 to $7 million, maybe $8 million. I kind of agree with you. But for 1 year, you just go.
Where do you get these? And by the way, I was wrong. I said never made $8 million in his career with Detroit or with Cleveland. He didn't. Green Bay had a contract. Minnesota had a contract where he averaged about $14 million. So that was incorrect. So my apologies. I don't know where we pulled the numbers from. We're just like grabbing him out of midair and saying, I'd give him $7 million. Let's throw it back into the sky. Based on what?
There's things like Spotrack and
based on him
such.
partying all summer.
I mean, seriously,
Right.
It really it's borderline irresponsible. He's 33 years old. He made $1.3 million last year, and you're going to give him $7 million this year?
You know, for one, if that's what it takes for 1 year, I'm okay with that. For one,
Well, that's because
season,
it's not
go
your
out there
money.
and get it done. That's what we've always been told.
It's
We
really
went
easy
to
to do it.
CTC.
It just doesn't make sense. It's not good business sense. Nobody does that. Nobody.
You know, I got a question for you guys. What do you think the most sacks Marcus Davenport has had in a season?
I think it's 11 and a half.
He's never had double-digit sacks. He's got 9 1 year.
Okay.
And then I believe 6 or 7 is his second highest.
Wow.
Which I was shocked at that.
Yeah.
And he is only 27. I thought he was 31. But the fact is he's never been highly productive or healthy.
Okay.
And I think where Detroit fans are coming from with Z is that we know we like this guy. We know he likes it here. We've got the second most salary cap. Just give him the money. The fact is, Detroit fans, you just don't know what else can pop up during the season. What other players can be made available just by being cut or through trade. And having that money is pretty important.
Yeah.
I still think a deal gets done. I don't think it's for 7 or 8, but it could be.
It better not be.
It could be. We don't know. And
but if you're getting Marcus Davenport for what, 1.5? Is that what they gave it? What they give
No,
him?
Marcus is making more than that.
What
You got Marcus.
was Davenport? Do you remember what his?
Let me get a Davenport.
I think he's making a substantial amount of money, and I want to say substantial at like 6.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but
1 year, 2.5.
Oh, that's it.
Or no. The deal can be worth up to 4.75 million.
But it's 2.5. He's got to hit certain things that he I don't know the details, but that he probably hasn't hit in a long time.
No.
Like the most games he's ever played in a season, 15 out of 16.
But his previous 1 year deal was 6.5, and when you say where are people getting some of these numbers for
That's what I
Zadarius,
remember.
it's going back to what we've seen Brad Holmes do, how he's valued that edge in the past.
But that's a previous. We're talking about here and now. We're talking about that was before certain extensions. Just because he's done that before doesn't mean you're going to do it again.
But you got
right?
but you got Davenport right now in the books for 2.5 guaranteed and up to almost $5 million. If I'm Zadarius Smith, I want a better contract than what you gave Marcus Davenport for this 1 year.
It's going to be loaded with incentives.
I'm okay with that.
And that's the way it should be.
He won bingo.
But
Ding,
the guaranteed, and I don't know if you guys meant 7 or 8 as in guaranteed or with incentives.
no.
I would have a problem with either one. But if you're talking about $2.5–3 million, you're maybe 3.5 guaranteed, and you got a chance to rise, that's great. I don't know if is he going to play enough to even reach those? I don't care. Get him in here.
Yeah.
Get him on the dotted line for a decent price. If he reaches those incentives, bully for him. And I'm glad the Lions will look at it and put that in the contract.
Q Ball's crashing out in the chat right now, man. In all caps, he's typing. So I know there got to be some frustration. But he says, we are paying Davenport to be hurt. Pay Z for his production. Then he goes again. This shouldn't even be a conversation. Sign the blank check. He's ready for Zadarius.
Zadarius's production is it's unquestioned. Wherever he's been, even when he came here, he still put numbers up. And he did it without the benefit of having Hutch on the other side of the line.
True that. Well, he had Myles Garrett on the other side in Cleveland.
Well, sure. But I mean,
he had 4 sacks.
But what I'm saying is a lot of people look at his 4 sacks from Detroit and they're like, that's all that he did. But he did that in basically a half season without any other bookend. I think that he could have a very productive year as the other guy on the other end, even through a rotation. And if I'm Zadarius and I've got the belief in myself, I'll take that incentive-laid package because it's probable that Marcus Davenport isn't going to be playing 15, 16, 17 games.
I mean, that's the trend, right? I mean, that's what's happened.
12 games.
We're not turning the clock back to 2013 when Zadarius Smith had 13.5 sacks and was a Pro Bowler.
That was
8. In Green Bay.
I'll take 8, man.
I'd take 8 too. Absolutely.
You give him $1 million a sack, Shep?
No.
Absolutely
No, I wouldn't. You know, I want sacks. I want quarterback hurries.
You had to think about that one for a second, Kool-Aid.
No, I didn't have to think about that at all.
Would
I
you
was
give him
stunned that
$15
you
million
asked the
for
question.
15?
That's what I was thinking about. I want tackles for losses. I want quarterback hits, and I want sacks
at a fair and honest price.
Yeah, and if I'm the player, I want to be rewarded. I don't blame them one bit. I'm talking about being a responsible. When somebody says sign the blank check, I laugh at that because it, first of all, it guarantees you nothing. Second of all, that can't be your approach in free agency. It just can't be. I mean, you're asking desperate. Why isn't somebody else? I think this is a fair question. For as dominating as Zadarius Smith has been, like you're like, oh, he played half a season, he had 4 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson had 7.5 in half a season. So that's dominant. Zadarius Smith, is he the answer to your problem? No, but he is a part of solution to the problem with others in a rotating basis. If you gave me Zadarius Smith and Marcus Davenport and others, Barnes, and bring up other people, and those guys are all getting me 6 sacks in a season, I'm really happy.
Yeah, and you're the Philadelphia Eagles defense last year.
Yeah, I don't need him, the Denver Broncos, as we mentioned. I don't need him to get me 13.5 sacks. I don't expect that. That's okay.
7 to 9.
Yeah,
would be amazing.
I think he's a good player. I think seems like he's a good teammate. It seems like everybody respects him and gets along with him, and he knows the system, and he likes being here, which to me means absolutely nothing that you want to be here. I want you to be productive. Yeah. You can be angry all you want. I want you to be productive. The problem I have is if he's a good player, I'm not paying him like he's a great player.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
And I think it's all right if the Lions are sticking to their guns.
Would you pay him a little bit more, even if it's incentives, than what Davenport has,
Absolutely.
knowing that last year
Absolutely.
it was a difference?
Yes.
Dope.
100%.
Yeah, because he's going to be healthy.
Yeah, and my thing is too. It's like what we saw out of Zadarius Smith. I know you guys talked about it too. Is it was without Hutchinson. It was without, or we know that Lee McNeil wound up getting injured as well, and that whole defense got decimated. I'm looking forward to seeing what he could have been, and I'm hoping they do, and they go and sign that check with the Detroit Lions. And one of my things is I do wonder, in terms of the question of why isn't he signed by other people. I wonder if there are deals out there, because I've seen, I guess the last couple of days we saw Matthew Judon get signed as well. Pass rusher, he went down, I believe, to the Dolphins. I believe.
Yeah, he did go to the Dolphins.
And so I've seen this.
He struggled
a couple
last
times.
year, though. Struggled.
And that's my thing. I wonder if it's just the best or the worst kept secret. Like, it felt like everybody knew when Ben Johnson is the head coach, it will be with the Chicago Bears, which still, I don't know why it took it so difficult as all of, Detroit. We knew that was going to be the place. And I do wonder if right now with Zadarius Smith and Brad Holmes and the comments he put out there, if around the league it's known he's trying to get back to Detroit, and if not, then maybe you open up the door.
Even if it's known around the league, that doesn't mean the league isn't knocking on his door.
I'm sure they are.
Nobody sits there and goes, well, I'm sorry, Detroit's talking to Zadarius, let's move on. This is not Rick Comley at Michigan State hockey and saying, if I go into a living room and somebody's looking at Notre Dame or Michigan, I'm not going to recruit him. Wrong answer.
It's like the club. No girl has a boyfriend in the club. You're all going to be making calls and trying for it. But this Lions team right now, everybody that's following them absolutely wants Zadarius in town. And the fact that we haven't seen him linked to anybody aside from the Bears, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, and that was just a little blip. It really seems like this is either he's going to retire or he's going to be a Lion.
Somebody brought up a great point in the chat, and this obviously helps Zadarius Smith. Davenport already crying about being in the spotlight. Oblige him. Get someone to take his snaps.
Hey.
Like Kool-Aid just said, you're paying him $2.5 million. We can be pissed off about a dumb quote like that, but if the guy's going to be in there doing what he's supposed to be doing and he stays somewhat healthy, I'll be happy. If I got out of Marcus Davenport this year, if I've got 12 or 13 games with 6 sacks, considering others I would expect them to also, Derek Barnes and the like, I think I'd be pretty happy with that.
I would too. I'd double down on that. I mean, he's a very disruptive player when he's healthy and on the field. So he's going to do more than just get you sacks. If we get 12 games out of Davenport, and half of those are in December and January and into February,
right,
we'll be looking real good.
Yeah, I don't think this is a situation. I hope it's not. I don't think it's a situation of Anthony Rendon. Anthony Rendon signed that big deal and never played. You would have thought he would have been the ideal situation in Anaheim or in LA for the Angels, and a guy who didn't even like the sport and for some reason or another just never was healthy enough. I don't know if it was little bumps and bruises, but it was just a brutal signing. Didn't want to play the game of baseball. I don't think that's the case for Marcus Davenport. I think I hope if he had it to do over again, he sure as hell wouldn't say it the way he said it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give the dude the benefit of the doubt. I would be fine if we just left him alone and he was productive. Pretend you're an offensive lineman. Here's the problem, Marcus. You're a defensive end. You are supposed to wreak havoc, and it's a massive need for this franchise. So I'm not sure what you expected. So suck it up. Do your job. If you do well, they'll probably bother you with microphones and cameras, and you'll have to answer some questions. But if you didn't want to be that guy, then you should have played a different position.
Well,
you should have bulked up and been a guard. Nobody talks to guards.
I wonder why you were under the radar for the last 2 years, my man. Because you weren't playing. I mean, for me, the only time you get attention is when you're doing something well or bad. But at this point, this is really the first time they've had to even talk to him or interview him because he hasn't been healthy for 2 damn years. He should be embracing the camera and the microphone right now because he's been irrelevant for 2 years.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said, for Zadarius Smith, I do 3 years, $25 million.
Ooh, what?
And I'm like, wait,
what?
On September 8th, this man turns 33.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like the days that much.
I try not to be, I try to be age sensitive, okay? You can't look at everything with age. It's not necessarily fair. There's guys who are really good. Ted Williams hit over 300 when he was 38 years old. So I try to get age out of it. But come on, man. You got to understand some things here and where this team is at. You're going to pay $8 million a year for a guy who's 33. Then you're going to pay $8 million for when he's 34 and 35. You'll be laughed out of the room.
Yeah, and look at track record. Look at what this team has done. There's nobody that has gotten a multi-year deal in their 30s on this team since Dan and Brad took it over. So there's just nothing in their DNA that would suggest that they would do something like that. I don't even know if they'd do that for a guy that they brought in from another team that's 28 or 27 because, again, track record. We've never seen them do that outside of Jared Goff.
All right, let's get to the mailbag. And somebody brought up Matthew Judon. It's a fair comparison. I hope it's not just because he's Grand Valley. But as I mentioned before, he struggled last year. I forget what the cost was. How much did Miami pay Matthew Judon? Kool-Aid, any idea?
It wasn't much, man. I will definitely get that because I saw it yesterday, and I was like, you know what? That's pretty interesting, especially with us still with the, Zadarius Smith floating around out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting they went that route too. I think, from what I remember, the headline was it turned into a $6 million deal. $6 million.
Oh yeah,
so
bruh,
is that right? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, okay. 1 year deal for $6
So
million.
what is your immediate thought when you hear that?
My immediate thought is very much like the Lions. They feel they have a complete team. They've got some cap left over, and they need an edge, period. Yeah. And they're willing to overpay on 1 year because he's gone after that.
My immediate thought is that Miami's not a well-run organization.
No, they're not.
For Matthew,
okay, so that to me, like I hope people don't use that. See, Miami spent $6 million on Matthew Judon, so the Lions should spend. No. Miami, there's a reason they're hovering around 500. There's a reason they're not very good. This is part of the reason. There's the reason the Lions are really successful. Brad Holmes knows what the hell he's doing. Yeah. There's the difference. All right, let's get to the mailbag.
Concussions haven't hurt the Dolphins either, or haven't helped the Dolphins either.
Good point, yeah.
The Chicago Bulls have offered Josh Giddey a long-term contract worth $20 million per season.
Yeah. Well, remember, I said this 2 weeks ago.
Remember our conversation?
You and I had the conversation. I think we were at Oak Point, okay, for the golf outing there with Dr. Pierce. And I said, I really like Josh Giddey. He would be the guy I would want to bring in if I were the Pistons. But I said, here's the problem. It's going to cost you about $20 million. And that's what the Bulls have done. Yeah.
I don't hate it. I mean, the guy's kind of a triple-double, And I will harken back to when Giddey and SGA were on the table for Mr. Cade Cunningham pick. Interesting debate there.
I love Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, so I love Cade Cunningham too.
Cade Cunningham's made for Detroit.
What? Giddey and Shea over Cade? No. Give me Cade all day.
Well, you got to understand, Kool-Aid.
His name is Kool-Aid.
There's only a couple of players in NBA history he'd take over Cade Cunningham.
Isaiah and Chauncey.
There you go.
My guy.
Hey, know what? Let me tell the people where they can follow us on socials. Get those mailbag questions in the chat, all right, guys? Stay connected with Woodward Sports on all social platforms. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, along with YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok for the latest sports news, live updates, and behind-the-scenes actions. Don't miss out. Hit that follow button now and make sure that you are a part of Detroit's #1 digital sports network at Woodward Sports everywhere. I will see you guys. We will see you guys in about 30 seconds.
Hunting season is almost here, Detroit, and your Lions are on the prowl. Make sure you're locked into Woodward Sports for all the Dan Campbell reactions, Jared Goff touchdowns, Amon-Ra first downs, Penny pancakes, Kirby picks, Gibbs big plays, and of course, Jack Fox's leg. Stay locked in on all your Lions coverage right here on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
All right, back with you here on the Braylon Edwards Show. We've just got a few moments left with Anson and Kool-Aid and Ricky. I'm Matt Shepard. Tomorrow, Braylon will be back in the chair, so we invite you back here every Monday through Friday, 2 till 4. Let's finish up with the mailbag, and the super chats.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, we're going to clean up those super chats first. Mr. Super Chat himself, Dante151, $4.99 Super Chat says, what people don't realize is Hendrickson is he says 4 of his 8 seasons, he's had double-digit sacks. That's it. In half of his career, that is really, really difficult to do. I guess he's one of those guys that's all in for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, remember, he didn't play a lot in New Orleans either. So he started in his career in New Orleans, then to Cincinnati. I think he was a third-round pick. And then to Cincinnati, didn't play the snaps that he plays in Cincinnati. He's a focal point of Cincy's defense. He wasn't that in New Orleans.
The anchor.
Yeah, and let me get to this other super chat, too, because I see one in here addressed to Anson. But shout out to Michigan Go Blue, $4.99 super chat. This one's addressed to you, Shep. He says, who does Shep think will finish with the highest batting average on the Detroit Tigers?
That's a really good question. It's not going to be. Gleyber Torres has gone in the toilet.
Oh,
right now, it's Riley Green at about 265, I believe. We're talking about everyday players, right? We're not talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you a surprise name. I don't think this guy gets talked about nearly enough. Colt Keith. I think Colt Keith is going to be this team's best hitter next year.
He looks good in that leadoff spot.
I don't care where you put him.
Yeah.
I think he just makes really solid contact.
He just looked more patient in that one spot, which we've definitely been calling for, and he's got all the skills. But my problem with him was just some of the cuts that he was taking. He just seems a little more selective sitting in that one spot.
Yeah, I think you're going to run through that in baseball all season long.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, every team is going through it. I mean, look what the Dodgers have gone through recently. Look at what Toronto has recently gone through. Look at some of the losses just last night, right? When you see some of these teams losing and getting torched. Seattle was so good. I talked about it the other day. Seattle, their pitching staff to me is unbelievable. Philadelphia beat the snot out of, I think it was Logan Gilbert last night. Maybe it was George Kirby, one of those two guys.
It was Logan Gilbert on my dynasty team.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, that's
He's
really
awful
tough.
on the road this year.
Yeah.
At home, stud. Can't play on the road.
So just so we're clear, Colt Keith right now is batting 268. And, you talk about the swings and the selection. He's got 79 punch-outs. He's got 43 walks. You'd like the walks to be a little higher. Strikeouts maybe to be a little bit lower. 113 games, it's not awful. Okay? I think the problem for Colt Keith is, where does he live? This team, my biggest concern was their defense. They played good defense last night. Torkelson's been pretty good defensively at first base, and he probably doesn't get nearly enough love.
Sure wasn't on
as he
Sunday.
Probably should. We point that out, but there's a lot of guys who made a lot of worse plays than Spencer Torkelson. I think he's a decent defender. He's better than Gleyber Torres at second base for crying. That's not much of a measuring stick. But the problem is with this team, there's a lot of guys who are like, okay, where is he going to be? What's his position? What's Jace Young's position? What's Colt Keith's position? What's Zach McKinstry's position? Where are these guys playing? They're thinking about it with the young guys right now. Where are they playing? It's easy to say Max Clark is the center fielder. Is Kevin McGonigal truly a major league shortstop? Is Bryce Rayner a true major league shortstop? Who's going to be your third baseman of the future? I don't know if they have an answer to that with Colt Keith yet. Don't think it helped him that they moved him over to first base and then he played just sparingly there. But hitting-wise, I think he's really good.
Yeah. My answer would be Kevin McGonigal when he comes up to the 40-man roster, but
that won't be this year, though.
We'll see.
No,
see.
that's not going to be this year.
We have a question from one of our staunch supporters. His name is Freddie Feld 313.
I already knew it was Freddie Feld. Just desperate to run his mouth on some corn and blue. That's okay, man. I got my fill last week.
Ask Anson his thoughts on the number one running back in the country, Savion Hitter, coming to the University of Michigan. And he puts this in all caps, so I have to.
The funny thing is that while these guys are obsessed with watching teams full of guys that will be at Enterprise Rent-A-Car next week or next year.
That's a solid
I don't
job.
care, Freddie. Freddie, every time I love you. Freddie, I could care less, dog. I could care less, man. I'll be watching basketball, so let me know.
But they're not going to be working at enterprise. They're going to be running the football. I thought you were going to say, just because you're not the number one running back doesn't mean you're going to be the number one running back.
No, I mean the
college.
majority of the guys.
But I
in
will
college,
say this: anytime somebody, could be Pryor, it could be Golston, it could be whomever, Hackenberg, when they were highly recruited and highly thought of, the fan base of that team loved it.
Yeah.
And they squawked about it, and for good reason. We got 5 stars, or we're making guys into 5 stars. What's wrong with celebrating a guy who comes to you with a great reputation?
I got to be honest, though, Kool-Aid, I love when Wolverines spend their money to tell me about their Wolverines. Keep it up. Keep those super chats coming. I'm going to dial up something very special for you guys next time. I apologize. I didn't bring my charger today. My computer's down. But the next time you guys see me, whenever it is, I will dial up something very, very special.
Well, we hope it's soon. Tomorrow we'll see Braylon Edwards, and we hope to see you as well on the Braylon Edwards Show. For Ricky Kool-Aid Anson, I'm Matt Shepard. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for watching Woodward Sports.
Ever wonder what goes on inside the game?
Deep ball's got a man and got him. Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Join Braylon Edwards and Shep.
Edwards has it. 10-5, touchdown.
On the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Ball looks in zone. Got Edwards for the touchdown.
Where they dive deep into the heart of sports. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m., they're bringing you expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and a fresh perspective on the sports you love. Don't miss it, only on the Woodward Sports Network.